If you start a conversation about O.J. Simpson and you begin by talking about what a great tailback he was, initially people are confused and then they get mad. I mean, it's just so weird now because even talking about him as a football player, it seems like you're missing, like we're overlooking the obvious. O.J.'s football legacy is destroyed. People will never remember or think about what a great running back he was because of the last half of his life, and there's no way around it. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. In his obituary, football player now is mentioned in the first paragraph, but they don't talk about USC or the Bills until paragraph 5. I think people have completely overlooked the fact now that he was clearly the best running back of the 70s. So if you sort of realize that he's the best running back at a time when the most important part of the offensive game is running the football, I think you could easily argue that O.J. Simpson is the most valuable player of the 70s for the entire league.
In 1967, Simpson led the Trojans to a national championship, then ran away with a Heisman Trophy in 1968.
Buffalo Bills select as their first choice, first round, halfback O.J. Simpson, the University of Southern California.
The Buffalo Bills made him the NFL's #1 draft choice.
And a rookie, the most heralded college star of all time. To many, he was already a nationwide celebrity who would tear up the pros the way he devoured the college boys. And as the legend grew, perhaps the name became bigger than the man. What people forgot was that the man was only human, and a rookie at that. O.J. Simpson made mistakes. He had trouble adjusting to pro-type blocking, and he found the defenses set against him. But through it all, he persevered, and no one intimidated him. O.J. became all the things he was supposed to be. Oil flowing against water. A fluid blur, a flash of color. A juking, faking huckster with a defender, a fool. A flim-flam man who limp-legged his would-be tacklers and left them gaping and bewildered. O.J. Simpson, whose only credo was guile and grace and grab a bunch of yards.
came out of college, I realized that they were expecting a lot of me.
Surprisingly, though, number 32 didn't carry the ball very often or very far because Buffalo's coaches used Simpson more as a decoy. When his number was called, the pressure to produce instantly seemed to obstruct his natural instincts. For 3 seasons, most believed that the Heisman jinx had claimed another victim. But in 1972, Buffalo hired a coach who knew how to break this spell.
As he went 32 yards to tie the game at 19. The Bills had reached the end of the road for 69. Could look ahead to 1970 when number 72, defensive tackle Al Collins, a big, hard-nosed warlord from USC, will be joining them.
O.J. Simpson. But this was 1970, and the spotlight belonged to O.J. Charging, leaping, churning, and darting, O.J. Simpson came to life. The man with the magical legs and the mystifying moves. He can turn corners quicker than a New York cab driver and has more speed and power than the Midnight Flyer. He's the master of start and stop, the maestro of fake and go. In his rookie year, critics felt O.J.'s performance had not matched his potential. But in 1970, O.J. was well on his way to a rushing title when injury struck.
O.J.'s considerable talents were finally utilized, and he blossomed into superstardom by becoming the proverbial triple threat. Simpson was the Bills' workhorse and responded by breaking all of Cookie Gilchrist's team records and surpassing the 1,000-yard mark for the first time with 1,251 yards. O.J. topped 100 yards in 6 different games, 3 of them spectacular efforts against the toughest defenses in football. Against San Francisco, he ran for 138 yards. Then he shredded the Oakland Raider defense for 144 yards. And against Pittsburgh's Steel Curtain, O.J. ran wild with 189 yards, including 1 for 94, the longest in Buffalo history. In his greatest season, O.J. Simpson led all NFL runners and was named American Football Conference Player of the Year.
Many say the greatest runner who ever carried the football, his name is O.J.
Bill's finale with the New York Jets this week would put him over 2,000 yards for the 1973 season.
In 1973, the Juice had 1,000 by mid-season, and everyone wondered, could he gain 2,000? December 16th, 1973, Shea Stadium. In that final game, O.J. needed 97 yards to reach 2,000. Like the legends of old, he'd have to do it on hell frozen over. Those who were there will never forget the sight of him slipping and crawling over his muddy blockers, edging ever closer to that magic number.
And now it's for the 2,000, boys. wonder if the three of us at this moment fully realize what it has been our great privilege to watch O.J. Simpson run for 2,000 yards in one season.
Go Juice! Come on, Juice! Come on, Juice! Come on, Jay! Do it to him, Jay!
O.J. Simpson still dreams of playing in a Super Bowl. Last week, the reigning champion Pittsburgh Steelers had Buffalo pinned deep in its own territory. The fired-up Steeler defense threatened to take the momentum away from the Bills. Instead, the juice evaporated the vaunted Steeler defense's mystique.
O.J.'s 23rd touchdown of the year made him pro football's most prolific six-point scorer for a season. All the yards, catches, and points mean little to a man who's already done it all.
O.J. now swings over to the left. A delayed O.J. up the middle to the 10, the 5, touchdown! Good play!
'77 was a bittersweet year for O.J. Simpson. There was an historical moment in the Atlanta game when Simpson became only the second player in the annals of the NFL to rush for more than 10,000 yards. There was little else to shout about. Blurred vision in the preseason and knee damage later put him in the hospital as
In 1979, O.J. Simpson played his 10th and final NFL season as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. However, at 32 years of age, the juice no longer flowed through a defense like before. Simpson stumbled into secondaries he once danced around and was soon buried beneath the rubble of the rebuilding 49ers. Finally, with the magic drained from his legs, O.J. Simpson bid farewell to the game that had been his life.
I want to tell you that over the years, I've heard your applause and I appreciated your cheers. And I want you to know that I already know it's what I'm going to miss most. Thank you all very much.
The roar of the crowd had been a part of the Simpson legend since he burst into the national spotlight at the University of Southern California.